Welcome back. Thanks for coming back. This is the second segment. Trying to break my long videos down into shorter segments now so that it's a little bit more technically manageable. So thanks for bearing with. I want to talk now about the cross-border attacks that have been happening, where the Ukrainian forces are increasingly attacking Russia, specifically from the part of northeast Ukraine around Kharkov city. They have been doing everything from launching drone aircraft into Russia, launching rockets into Russia, launching helicopters into Russia. They have had commando squads going into Russia to try to blow things up and so forth. And recently, well, within the last week anyway, there was a town in Russia that was about 120 kilometers from the Ukraine border. 120 kilometers from the Ukraine border, where there were two fuel depots that went up in flames in that town, and they were not next to each other. They were on different, in different parts of town. They both went up in flames at about the same time. So that's clearly no accident. And you have to ask now why this is happening. Well, um, the fact is that Russia can't stop this entirely right now. Okay, they have a situation where they pulled out of northeast Ukraine. They were there. They were besieging the Ukrainian forces around Kharkov and so forth, and then they pulled out. And all these smart people think, well, they had phase A, and then they pulled out, and now it's phase B, and it all makes sense because phase A was successfully completed, and phase B now it's we're into phase B after A was successfully completed. Now we're into phase B, which is the Donbass, and it's like, nah, you got. No, phase A was not successfully completed, okay? If phase A was successfully completed, Ukrainians would not be attacking 120 kilometers deep into Russia, okay? That's complete nonsense. The fact is, they had a bad war plan. They were relying on, advancing on Kiev really quickly and basically trying to, facilitate a coup d'etat against Zelensky, and it didn't happen. And it took them a while to, realize this isn't going to happen. And when they realized it, they pulled out of northern and northeastern Ukraine completely. And now the Ukrainian army there has quite a lot of breathing room to, plan these raids into Russia. And this isn't part of the plan. Okay, we're like 2 months of the way, 2 months into this war. Russia's getting attacked up to 120 kilometers inside its own borders. Okay, that's not the plan. If you think that's the plan, no. Okay, the fact is, Putin doesn't know everything. He's not perfect. Can't predict everything. The guy's not God. Okay, if you think that he's omniscient and this was like his plan or something, then that's medieval thinking. Okay, get over it. We're not in the Middle Ages. You're not a peasant. I hope you're not. And what's even worse now is some days ago, Uncle Sam and Britain, the U.S. and Britain, I think it was Blinken, Brandon. He's not really awake, so I think it was Secretary Blinken, Secretary of State Blinken, and then Boris Johnson over in England. Two different countries, the two main backers of Ukraine, and within 24 hours of each other, they both said the same thing. They said, "Well, look, we're not saying that Ukraine should attack inside Russia. I mean, that's their call. But if they do, well, we can understand. If that happens, right? I mean, we're not condoning it, but we understand. Well, look, I mean, it's who cares if you understand or not? I mean, it's been happening for almost a month already. Okay, number one. Number two, the fact that they basically said this back to back. These are the two countries that are the most up to their eyeballs in the Ukraine in terms of trying to help the Ukrainian government militarily, financially, and in terms of intelligence. And they both say the same thing, within the span of 24 hours, probably less, that hey, Ukraine, go ahead, attack within Russia, right? I mean, this is basically my interpretation is this is a statement of policy that's look, hey, it's open season, and the fact is that you keep in mind this isn't just idle chit chat. the U.S. has tens, tens of senior officers, colonel and general level officers, as well as CIA people, right now in the Ukraine, working at within the Ukrainian General Staff headquarters in Kiev, probably working at the Ukrainian military intelligence, Ukrainian security service headquarters. They're there. The Brits have surely some people there too. They're Ukrainians are getting everything, you know, literally minute by minute satellite imagery, everything that Uncle Sam has is going to Ukraine, and there's people on the ground. There's top people, Americans and Brits, military intelligence people. They're in Kiev, among other places, that are working with the Ukrainians and planning with them. And you got to figure that. I mean, like, they're not just twiddling their thumbs. Okay, so the fact is, Russia has threatened for weeks now, many weeks. They've threatened that, look, if these attacks, cross-border attacks into Russian territory continue, then we will respond. We will retaliate by attacking the decision centers in Kiev. Now, okay, obviously the decision centers are not really in Kiev, right? They're in Washington and in London, right? I mean, but aside from that, the fact is, when they talk about the decision centers in Kiev, they mean the general staff, the headquarters of the Ukraine Interior Ministry, the headquarters of the Ukraine Security Service, and so forth, right? But it's been weeks and weeks, and Russia keeps getting attacked and keeps getting attacked within its own borders, and the Russians don't do anything. They've threatened a couple of times. Well, we're gonna attack Kiev. We're gonna attack the decision centers. Where all these generals sit and decide, and they haven't done anything. And it looks really weak. It looks really weak. But the fact is, I would guess they haven't done anything because there's so many senior American and British and German and other officers working in these headquarters buildings in Kiev that to attack them, with cruise missiles or whatever, and to kill American generals, right, would be basically a huge escalation. Now, I mean, from Russia's perspective, it would be well justified. I mean, they're fighting a war. Americans shouldn't have been there. Officially, they're not there, right? So, but it would still be an escalation per se, and then Uncle Sam would have to react somehow. So, presumably that's why they're not doing it. But absolutely, they are in a bind now because it's not a lot of damage. It's not a lot of damage. But they are getting attacked within their own borders. It was not planned, and it's coming from the area around Kharkov, which they basically, they never really took the city, but they had it kind of surrounded. But then they pulled out at the beginning of April, and they can't do anything about it until they, finish off with the Donbass. Only then can they move into eastern Ukraine and clear it out and secure the Russian border, facing northeast Ukraine. So it's going to be, maybe another month or more. I don't know. It's going to happen, but we'll see if there's an attack, Russian cruise missile or other missile attack on headquarters buildings, military headquarters buildings in Kiev. That would be a big deal. That would be a big deal. You can remember this video at the time because it's going to mean a lot of dead American brass. But this is how it is. There's escalation after escalation, and hopefully we don't have something that gets completely out of control. So that's my second segment. Please stay tuned for my third. Thank you.